Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
January 2023, we start again. Okay. Minutes of the last meeting. A while back now. December 13th. Everyone have a chance to look at them? Any corrections? Approvals?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from December 13th, 22.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sarah McCarron.
They were the ones that are doing the corner of Interlake and Crossroad and
The sewer.
Mackinac, septic.
Uh-huh.
And Sarah was, they're in the process of selling. And they wanted a certificate of compliance. I'm not sure that they're finished. I got an email from Sarah today.
I'm
So
here,
I-
actually. I'd be
Yeah,
happy
I
to
know.
chime in if it's appropriate to do that.
I see that you're here. And
Sorry.
Sarah had asked if we would do a site visit. But it seems like you're slightly delayed. Is that correct?
Yeah, I wish we had a date certain for the completion of the project. I don't, because the contractor is just in the process of installing the pump chamber and doing the last finishing touches on the project. And then Tony Campetti and our engineer will pressure test it and inspect it. We hope that process is going to happen quickly enough that we could be on your January 24th agenda, if possible. We had a closing date that we're probably going to have to push off with the buyers because a condition of the sale is completion of this project. But we are hoping that it might be possible to file that request for a certificate of compliance and be on your January 24th agenda or the meeting after that. But hoping that we'll get it done in 2 weeks. So that's, I think, what we had hoped just to give you an update about so that you're aware of our schedule and the next step for us, which I know involves your review of the site and our effort to comply with all of the conditions in the order of conditions.
If your project moves to the point where you feel it's completed and we have to do a site visit, we possibly could do it before the next meeting if your project moves along. The weather's decent, so maybe it'll move quicker than you hope.
May I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Hi, sir. I'm John Hart. I met you at Lido Morris's wedding.
Hello.
Now, I thought that the issue there was hooking into town sewer.
That's what it is.
That is what's happening. So
Process.
there's been
Process.
No, what I'm wondering is I haven't seen any sign of town sewer being attached to that house.
Oh, yeah. It's all.
The lines all the way down the road.
The manholes are all up the road.
Pump chambers are.
And they've already,
That's what those pipes and things are that are on the left-hand
I
side.
know they're underground.
I just spoke of the pump chamber being installed to complete it.
I'm ignorant. I'm sorry. I've not been.
So it's almost there, but not quite, as I understand it.
and that the last water.
Good sign that the project, pardon me, it's a good sign that the project isn't evident to you all, because that means that the site is probably in pretty good shape, I hope. But yeah, there's they did directional drilling from the Interlake and Crossroad, from my mom's property all the way to Beechwood, which is where the town sewer line is. And I believe there are 4 manholes installed along the way.
All right, so that said, if it happens to speed up and move along, give us a call, a heads up, and if we can get a site visit before the meeting, we will try. Or otherwise, at the next meeting, let us know, and then we'll get to it.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And we will be back in touch shortly. Is it best to communicate with Sally?
Yeah, email is best for me, Sarah.
Okay, great, Sally. I will do that. And as soon as I have clarity on the schedule, I'll let you know. And thank you so much for the time this evening.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Mack, you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi. I was hoping to set up a site visit for 3 Ice Glen Road to review the erosion controls before they start work.
So do we need a whole site visit or just, no?
I think the order of conditions just asks that you are notified and have the opportunity to review the erosion controls, I guess.
All right, can someone get in there to see it? Is the gate gonna be open?
Well, I'd have to have a date, I think, so they can make sure it's accessible.
Anyone?
I don't have a problem doing it. I just,
Are they there now? Are they in now?
is anyone there now?
No, I don't think so, no. But I can get the gate open whenever you need it.
Should probably set a date then so they can.
Yeah. I can't,
Thursday?
yeah, Thursday's better for me. Thursday, 3 o'clock? It's coming Thursday?
Thursday? Okay. I will tell them that you'll be there. I'll try to meet you if I can. And if there's a problem, I'll email you
Well,
about
yeah. Just going in to look and,
We need to have a formal site visit or just people just,
Just check the silt fences, right?
I don't think we need a formal because we're not deciding anything.
You going to this one, John?
Well, I will try if I'm,
We'll have 1 or 2 people make it there.
that. Okay.
Take a look at it.
So if you don't need everybody.
Whereabouts on the property is it, Steve? Is it near the lake or?
Yeah, it's around the pond because they're doing the improvements to the pond. And it's also around the carriage house, which is to the far west
Sure,
of the property or to the left, because they're doing some improvements to that area as well.
So it's the pond and the carriage house. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
We have a map of it. Drawing.
I
Of what
went
they were
to one
supposed to do.
visit, yeah.
It's nice to fantasy.
but if Steve is,
Yeah.
if Steve is there, he'll have.
Steve, if someone will probably be there then, right?
Yeah, I'll try to have somebody there if it's not me, just with a plan
Just-
and they can go
Yeah,
over it with you.
whoever's there, doesn't necessarily have to be you, but could you leave them a plan?
Yes, I'll do that.
What set of the plan so we can compare what's there and what your drawings are?
Sure. I haven't seen them yet either. I've been told it's installed properly, so we'll be in this together.
Okay, so someone will be there Thursday at 3 PM.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You too.
Evening.
Good night.
Certificate of compliance, no, not for Han. 12 Mackinac Shores, Silver.
That was the one that we had questions about the wall.
Stone wall.
Still waiting to hear from them.
Continued.
Can I just ask on the previous one on Han, how long has that been?
Oh,
Forever.
really long.
And
Need a couple of years.
couple years, so. Why?
We keep going back and looking at it and it's,
Yeah.
and the work just, I don't know how they're not coordinating with the landowner, but they don't seem to be coordinating with the landowner.
Some work has been done. but
Some work
not-
has been done. Some of the work that we asked to be done was to stop mowing,
Yeah,
but apparently they didn't tell the guy who was mowing. So the guy who was mowing kept mowing the way he'd always mowed and
To the water's edge.
to the water's edge. And so
Still?
we're firmly hoping that
wait a minute here.
that,
so it's still,
Is there no way that we can press our hand
we're
here?
going 2 years.
we have, I mean, Linda was here last time and we talked about it yet again.
Money talks.
Have the June final review, but we're not going to be able to tell that they're not mowing until they're mowing.
Did we
Or
ask
don't
for,
mow.
okay, did we ask for any plantings? for
It
them?
sounds like you
Yes.
could do a confirmation that they're not going to mow.
I'm sorry?
It sounds like you might want to do a confirmation, ahead of
Well,
Ahead of the season.
I mean, so
And they're getting plantings in, or we don't know?
the plantings were trees, little trees, one of which was dead and was supposed to be replaced. And I don't know what the disconnect is between the landowner and I just don't know.
Do we know who the mower is?
No,
It's not Mr. Faber or Toby.
I have no idea.
So, but you think by June it would
Yes,
be?
June, we established that June would be the drop dead on this.
So do you think we could identify who the landscape person is so that maybe we could work direct with them?
Well, that's not really up to us. It's up to the
Yeah, I mean,
property
it's-
At least we
owner.
could talk to them.
The property owner
Property owner
ultimately is the
needs to
one
do it,
who's supposed to be responsible for all of this. It's not even the contractor or the person who's in between.
property owner.
But it seems that it always happens that it's the contractor or the person in between. And the homeowner is like nowhere. I don't know how you engage the homeowner.
But when we had a major violation next to the Mackinac Boathouse, we were dealing with, one of the guys cutting the trees.
But that's because the homeowner sent that person in to be the liaison.
I don't even think it was the homeowner.
It was.
The homeowner was in Sweden.
Yeah, but they sent those people.
It was. I
They,
mean,
they sent this junior guy from the.
Mrs. Fowler was definitely involved with that.
So here's the donut hole in this whole thing. And if nobody at this table understands what the donut hole is, it is, we say, okay, the homeowner is responsible for what it is. Wait a minute.
Responsible.
Wait a minute. The homeowner is responsible for what the contractor or the landscaper or the whomever does.
Right.
And when Lisa submitted the, whatever they're called, to the attorney, the part that I put into there, which was the contractor, the landscaper, the whomever is going to have to sign off on what our order of conditions is. That got deleted. I don't understand why, and I would like to understand why from town attorney or somebody. But I can't communicate with town attorney because only Ron can communicate.
I don't know why it was deleted.
Well, this is the donut hole. I mean, this landscape person, if this landscape person was presented with the order of conditions that we put forth and the homeowner just put it in the circular file and that was the end of it, then of course this is going to happen over and over and over again. Unless there is some way of making the person who is going to do the work sign off on the fact that they read the order of conditions. End of story. Same thing with the planning board. Same thing with all of our boards. It's absurd that this isn't on the books. And why town attorney shot it down, I would like to know.
Well, it's in the order of conditions that the homeowner is the ultimate responsible person.
Right, great. Well, then let's find the hell out of the homeowner.
But the homeowner, I don't know, ever even sees most of these things. And apparently they don't care because they have people.
Great, they got people.
They have
They're gonna
people.
Money talk, Sally.
I understand, but in this one, it sounds like you already made a deal to wait till June, but.
We did. I mean, we were all here when we made that deal.
Okay.
I mean,
think
we were all
going
here.
forward, if there's a violation, it needs to be addressed sooner than months away.
That's what the
Sally, we have a sort of a narrow window when the applicant or their agent is in front of us. And I think what John's proposing.
I know what
is
John's
some sort of,
Right.
some sort of check off that the people actually doing the work, maybe not even supervised by that person, the agent, has read these things.
John is absolutely right. There's no question about it. However, let's be realistic in the fact that oftentimes when this is happening, they don't know who the contractor is. They don't know who the person is mowing the lawn. And yeah, I can guarantee you, the guy out there with the lawnmower is not going to read the order of conditions.
No, he's going to be told by somebody that he can't do
Exactly.
something. But the fact of the matter is that this is the donut hole and the donut hole needs to be fixed.
Well, and we need to enforce it. If it means giving the homeowner a fine, we have to give the
Correct.
homeowner a fine
Absolutely no question about that.
instead of just,
I mean, it's time to put some teeth into this stuff. We can't just be sitting here with something that's, how old is this?
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's like 2 or 3 years old. That's absurd. I mean, we should be dealing with whoever's doing something now, and, you know, all these people 2, 3 years ago, they should be off the docket.
Can we ask the expert? Go ahead, you can, Sally. Are we doing something wrong?
Can we,
Okay,
can we,
Okay.
can we get a time limit
well, this is one that I don't
from the
really know
start?
anything about, but I see that it's been on the agenda month after month after month since
Year
I've
after
been
year.
involved.
You've got the gist.
So this is what I would propose. Well, actually, first I have a question. Has an enforcement order been issued?
a long time ago.
Yes, a long time ago.
Okay, I'd like to, if you really want my help, I'd like to see a copy of that and see what it says. So this is not just a function of them not being in compliance with an order of conditions. You guys actually took it to the next level and you issued an enforcement order. Is that correct?
To tell you the honest truth, I don't even remember.
Okay, so we need to figure that out, I think. Okay, and if an enforcement order has not been issued, then I think it needs to be issued and I can help draft that up if the commission wants that. But I think if this is a situation, and again, I'm trying to understand this the best I can coming into this late. If this is a situation where it's largely an absentee landowner or a second or third or fourth homeowner who's hardly ever there, and the on-site presence is sporadic and it's a landscaping crew or a groundskeeper who simply doesn't know what the problem is and they're just doing things business as usual, then we've got to figure that out. And it could be as simple as, you know, trying to get a hold of the property owner. And if we can't, going out there with a couple of tomato stakes with some caution tape and cordoning off the area that is not supposed to be mowed with those things and hanging a note on it that says, call the Conservation Commission with any questions. That will get somebody's attention.
That's proactive in my book. You know,
that's helpful, thank you.
thank you.
The issue may be that the contractor that's hired to mow the lawn, do the landscaping, now sends a crew out of brand new people every year.
But that's not our problem.
But if
It's not our problem, but that's may well be what's happening.
But if the tomato stakes are in place and the caution tape is up, maybe we'll get a call.
But
I'll just tell you that the way
from the point of view of common sense, what is the difference between putting up a tape that says caution that is going to be read by the landscaper and one of us going up and say to him, hey, pal, can I talk to you for a few minutes?
We need
about
to know
this?
what
I
they
mean,
Catch 'em.
Oh, well, if they happen to be on site when we go there to put the caution tape,
Right.
absolutely, that's
I
what we
mean,
should do. But if we don't
why
know
not
who
do
they
that?
are,
I mean, it's direct, it's going to do the job, you know?
So-
I agree, Tom, but if we don't know who they are, we're not going to be able to have that conversation. We have to identify who they are. Right.
And that's what I started with. We need to identify who these people are because
So-
they're the people doing the job.
So do the homeowners respond to us when we send them a document of any kind at all? I mean, if they would, you know, if they're in Sweden, I don't care if they're in Moscow, but, you know, email is a pretty broad thing these days, you know.
They weren't in Sweden, John, I can tell you.
What?
They weren't in Sweden.
Well, I mean, you know, they got to be someplace and they got to be able to be contacted. And hello, landowner, who is the guy cutting your grass? When does he cut it? Thank you. I mean, we got to get a handle on this stuff because it's only going to get worse.
The guy that cut the trees, the owner of that business was in Sweden.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
This was-
That's helpful.
I got some wooden stakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might even have caution tape.
I have a
Yeah,
bunch
and again, those would just be interim measures until we can actually work with the property owner and the landscaper to do something more permanent like plantings. And if they can't commit to plantings, I mean, one of the provisions that were, that's been undertaken for protection of riverfront area, where no more mowing or deforestation of riverfront area is allowed, is to put up actual permanent monuments along the riverfront area boundary. Those can be stone, aesthetically attractive stone monuments or, lolly columns or something like that, to just physically mark and impede the area from being repeatedly mowed. I don't imagine the property owner would want that. That might be the incentive to get them to do the plantings, permanent plantings, which will look nice and accomplish the same thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have almost the same thing with the next one, which is a little newer at least, that we said we want to talk to somebody about the stone wall and there's dead air.
I'm sorry, I was momentarily distracted. Where are we now?
12,
Linda marks over 12.
Mackinac Shores,
We
they,
reached out to them and there was no response. So why not a certified letter?
we were there with the engineer, told him what our concerns were. I thought that Bill had perhaps spoken to them, but we've heard nothing.
And they're year-round people?
I don't know.
I doubt it, but I can't say.
So how about a certified letter asking them to respond to us?
That's good. That's proactive. I like that.
It is proactive.
Can't we send them a notice of violation?
But you have to wonder,
It's not quite as strong as an enforcement, right? A notice of violation.
have to wonder if they want a certificate of compliance and they aren't getting it.
Well, they're not going to want that until they sell the place.
Yeah, and I don't want to keep waiting for them to
Yeah.
want it. I think we should act.
I think, sorry, I'm going to offer this up. I think if you want to get the attention of people who are not responding and they are out of compliance, an enforcement order is the best way to do that. That generally gets people's attention.
Okay.
Following the enforcement order, can a fine be levied?
Well, as I understand it, failure to respond to the enforcement order is in itself a violation, isn't it? That's what it says in the enforcement manual.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You're racking up more violations.
Yeah, right. So, and in practical terms, the way that works out is if you have a system in place where you can levy fines and a respondent is cooperative, you generally get, you have some flexibility in terms of your fine fee schedule to relax certain things if someone's voluntarily coming back into compliance. But if they're persistently ignoring you, then yeah, you've got other options.
Right.
Should we talk to a lawyer about this?
I'd like to talk to her at some point on the face of this planet.
Talk to a lawyer about an enforcement order?
Yeah.
I think it's in our right to do an enforcement order. But I
That was in
mean,
Yeah,
our
we can
bylaws.
issue.
we can do that without,
We don't have to.
or you can, if you want to start softer, start with a certified letter telling them the next step would be an enforcement order.
At the Mackinac,
If they don't
the
respond.
property next to the Mackinac Boat Club, Sally went to see the property after I had seen it, and you wrote it up that night, right? And it was gone, it was on its way the next day.
so the question is, I guess, at least for the second, for the Silvers, do we feel that the variation from the plan as presented is different enough from what was
Original.
done to issue an enforcement order?
Yeah, it was radically different, wasn't it?
Well,
In my opinion, it is.
And I thought
Do we
they had
have
to
it?
come to our board before they made a change. Like
They
if they
do.
want to make a change, they have to come to us and at least tell us.
Yes, which they did not do.
do we have the original plan that was submitted?
Yes, not right here, I don't think, but
Not right there.
not here.
And the only reason I ask, you probably don't need to tear it out and we figure out all the details of what's wrong with it. Obviously, it's wrong. But, again, unless the person doing the work has signed the bottom of the order of conditions, we might as well just throw a paper airplane out that window because it ain't going to happen the way we want it to happen.
Well, somebody signed the order of conditions, right? The owner would have signed.
Well, the owner signs the request.
And then the owner disappears and nothing happens. And he hopes,
We go look at it, we have an issue with it, we try to get hold of them, and they're not selling the place,
right,
so they don't care.
right. Yeah, no, I've got the picture. I just want to see if we can come up with an end to that picture.
Maybe they're renting it out.
I've got a question about this one too. So they've applied for a request, they've requested a COC?
Yes.
And the commission's opinion is they're not in compliance and
Correct.
this is just stalled because they won't come in and talk to you or they won't come into compliance and you haven't taken any action. So
Correct.
there is another option here other than going right to an enforcement order, which is just send them a certified letter that says your request for certificate of compliance has been denied. The project's not in compliance because of A, B, C, and D.
I like this guy a lot.
And you've got 30 days, to come into compliance. And if not, the commission will be pursuing enforcement options.
Okay.
That will,
Should get a
that's an incentive for them to,
standard form of that.
Yeah, we should.
God, we're getting someplace with it.
if the commission wants help with any, drafting up any of this stuff, just let me know.
I might pay you out of my own pocket.
I will send them a letter.
Thank you,
All right.
Sally.
That was required. That-
Save on Asper.
Any other discussion on this? We will
Send them a
be on
letter.
it. Same thing on
Where are we?
amended order of conditions for Goodall, 15 Lakeview Drive. Replace
That's-
piers, porch. This is, did I see
That's
Mr.
Rob.
Ackroyd here somewhere?
Yeah, he's there.
Rob?
Everybody,
As I understand it, she wants to do the house piers, separate it from the porch. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so what this is, Ron, this is really, I think this is pretty simple. Scott and Marianne have been in front of you before many years ago for a property over on Interlake and Crossroads. They're really solid people. You permitted this project with Green River Design and David Potter for a client named Dina Cola. And you signed the order of conditions. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but it's still valid. Scott and Marianne, you signed it on May 12th of this year, 2022. Scott and Marianne have no intention of tearing down the cottage. They like the cottage exactly the way it is. All they want to do is add a modest deck off of the existing cottage. The other thing that they need to do is the existing cottage sits on very old concrete piers, which are failing. They want to replace the piers so the cottage becomes structurally solid and then add the deck onto 10 helical piers. And then that's it. Everything else stays the same. If I look at the site plan you approved for Dina Cola and the order of conditions, that plan was, in my estimation, much more invasive than what Scott and Marianne are proposing. Hence the reason why we asked to amend the existing NOI.
I would like to see it.
I'm a little confused as to why the Goodells are the applicants. Are they the property owners?
They bought the property off of Dina Cola, yes.
Okay. But the,
And is the deck closer to the resource area?
Closer to the resource area than the cottage, yes, not closer to the disturbances that you previously approved. Happy to be. I was out there this morning with the planning board. I've got another site visit. Let me know when you want to go. I'm happy to go out.
Rob?
Yes, sir.
How far is this deck going to be from the mean high water line of Stockbridge Bowl?
45 feet, John.
45 feet?
Yep.
And they're willing to sign a deed restriction that says that this deck is never going to become an enclosed part of this house?
I'll check with it, but knowing Scott and Mary Ann, I don't think that'll be a problem for them at all.
And how long have you known these people?
They've been in front of you probably since the mid-2000s.
They come from your, they
Renovated
come,
the house on Interlake and Crossroad. And then we also built the little studio on the piece of property on Interlake and Crossroads as well. I think if you
Gotcha.
drive by, it'll all come back to you, John.
I got it. Thank you.
I can't say that it's about all my clients, but Scott and Mary Ann are really solid people.
but you're still asking for something to be closer to the resource area than what's already there.
I am, but I'm not asking for something to be closer to the resource area that you didn't previously approve under the existing order of conditions.
Okay, then I misunderstood what you just said.
Evidently, we issued an order of
So yeah, let me
conditions.
just back it up a step. You issued an order of conditions under D. Nicola for a site plan that involved removing the existing structure, building a new structure on a concrete foundation with associated grading.
Okay, all right, so this is the little house with a really, really tiny lot.
Yeah, and the tight tank.
Bingo.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah, it's red, Sally. It's tiny little red cottage.
Oh, I remember
Nestled in amongst some cottages that really aren't so little any longer.
Yeah, that's gonna happen to this one too. And
They're
these trees
still on-
on the right,
They're still on board with doing the
addition.
plantings and the removal of the invasive species and the removal of the garbage pile.
Yeah, in fact, I think the garbage pile's gone. Yeah, they'll plant, we'd love to remove all the non-native invasives and do some plantings. Absolutely.
How about the tight tank?
But that's, I mean, that's under the order of conditions.
That's for a different owner, though, isn't it?
It's,
It's a different owner. It was Cola, and these people have bought the house apparently.
that's a, he just has gone
Don't we
by.
need to file?
I'm really confused about this.
You know, I mean,
I see a picture.
The new owner did not buy that. I'll guarantee you the new owner didn't buy that.
The order of conditions should stay with the property,
It does.
Right. But
but whether or not they do it, I hear.
I mean, this project is getting filed under this, and there are two different things going on here.
yeah, it seems a lot to.
So again,
Is that little house we went to look at just now, which she swore she right up?
Wasn't it that woman with the grandkids? Or is that someone else?
no,
Oh, good.
Not someone else, but her name is Dina.
just schedule a site visit.
It was?
It was Dina.
It was.
Rob, we
Gail
want to come out and look at
DiNicola.
this.
We're very, I'm
Just
very
to
confused. It's Gail
straighten out the
DiNicola.
confusion.
Does she have two properties, Rob?
Scott
Gail?
and Mary Ann have 3 properties in the town of Stockbridge now.
No, does Gail have two properties?
Gail who?
DiNicola.
Absolutely no idea. Never met Mrs. D. Nicola. She was, David
She
Potter
was-
dealt with her.
She was just here like
Right.
2 months ago.
For something else or for this?
That's what I want to know, because I'm not,
Two Lakeside, wasn't it? Wasn't
Yeah,
it
it
two
was-
Lakeside? Am I wrong in that? But
No, I
it
think
was.
you're right.
It was two Lakeside.
I don't remember. So that's why I'm confused.
I know.
So if you guys want to do a site visit, this is really, I'm
Whoa,
not
I
being
think we're
disrespectful. This is really simple. I'm happy
jumping.
to meet you out there and show you what's going on.
Good. I'd like to ask our conservation agent, if a previous owner
Yes, you are correct. 2 Lakeview Drive.
If a previous owner presents before us a plan like this one on the table with regard to what they're going to do with their minuscule piece of property, and, you know, we come around, we negotiate, and we do all this stuff, and we finally say, okay, you can do that. Does that go with the house? I mean, is that part of the house? Or when somebody is going to do something like what they've got planned here, this is a whole different thing. I mean, in my mind, it's another, you know, order of conditions and all that. And Rob, wait a minute.
I'll offer general guidance because I haven't reviewed anything associated with this project. So I don't have the benefit of the plan sitting in front of me. I don't know what was approved, and I don't know what's being proposed now that's different than what was approved.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if you want general guidance on when an amended order of conditions is required versus just a kind of a general approval, like it's not really a field change. There's a general condition in every order of conditions that allows the commission the discretion to say, okay, this is slightly different than what was approved, but it's so minuscule, we're going to allow it. We're going to have a paper trail to document it, but it's still consistent with the order of conditions.
All right.
An amended order of conditions is generally the vehicle that's used to memorialize significant changes that don't have an increase in impacts to resource areas or buffer zone. So if what is being proposed now has a smaller footprint in resource areas or buffer zones than what was originally approved, I think an amended order of conditions is an appropriate way to handle that. That's what's being sought here, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So the reason that, and there's an amended orders policy that kind of walks you through this. If on the other hand, what is being proposed now is going to have a 50% increase in buffer zone impacts, then it's arguable that an amended order of conditions is not the proper vehicle to do that. And one would have to file a new notice of intent and seek a new order of conditions.
So an owner that buys a home buys the order of conditions as well.
Yes.
And the order of conditions goes with the
Goes
property.
with the property.
All right.
The order of conditions is attached to the deed in the registry. It has to go with the property.
Okay, thank you.
When you want to go take a little walkabout?
So when was this before us? I'm confused because it's apparent that,
You signed the order in May of this year, Sally.
all right, so April of 2022.
That would make sense. Yeah. Yep. You signed the order May 2nd, I think it was. Hang on, it's right here.
The proposal was to demolish and rebuild an existing house with driveway, walkways, and plantings. We were to be notified when the work was going to start. This was the 26th.
You signed it May 12th.
Was that little house?
No, it wasn't. So town sewer wetlands delineated, terrace cut back 30%, dry lane patio, grading tightened up, keystone path 3 feet wide, roof shed to size with drip edges, rain garden, stone behind the retaining wall, filters, a lot of water, planting beds, invasive removed, replaced with native wetland shrubs, new patio, 21 by 17. This is not a deck. "20 trees to be removed. 5 to 8 of them were dead. We'll plant new trees on the sides. 4 river or white birch, replace 14 trees. Red silver maples in the wetlands. Near the patio, dogwood. Send sketches of plantings in front of the patio," it says. "Some plantings where invasives will be removed." Those are my notes on that project.
That was pretty much my memory of it.
We proposed.
So a dry lane patio is not a deck. And I think the reason that we asked for the dry lane patio was because it was closer to the resource area than the house.
Correct.
So am I to understand that they proposed a deck and you asked them to put in a,
Yes,
really?
because that would be standard practice for us. So we wouldn't run into the issue of having it be a by right to build up as part of the house in the footprint.
Okay,
You haven't heard this before, Rob?
never. Never. I've never heard of but this is a building code issue, but I've never heard of an instance where a deck can be considered a structure upon which you can convert it from unconditioned space to conditioned space as a matter of right.
Yes.
That's a rabbit hole I really don't want to go down right now.
It's true in this town.
Another check in the box for Stockbridge.
Yeah, you got that right.
So to John's point, my client, I'm pretty sure I'll check with them. I'm 99% certain they'd be happy to sign a deed restriction saying that this unconditioned space will never be used to be converted into a conditioned living space. It's not their intention. Scott and Marianne are looking for a very modest cottage upon which they can sit on the deck and get access to the bowl to put their kayak in and paddle around. That's it. It's just two of them.
Rob.
Yep.
You know why we have to make bathrooms in public spaces with the width of the door a certain way? Is because somebody might have to get in there in a wheelchair. Now, the reason that's relevant here is that the Goodells, I'm sure fine and upstanding people, might not always own that piece of property.
Hence the deed restriction.
Hence the deed restriction, but
Understood.
I don't think that they're going to go reading our order of conditions there'll be another Concom. I won't even be here, so.
Yeah, but it goes with the sale of the property. It'll be in the
Deed
deed.
restriction does go with the straight, but what we permitted was a dry lane patio. It was not a
That's correct.
deck.
I absolutely remember that.
It's a little dog.
You still want us to go for a site visit there, Rob, or you want to look into this a little more?
I don't want to look into it. Let's do a site visit. I'm adamant. I apologize, but I'm a little taken aback. I'm adamant that what we are proposing is significantly less invasive than what you permitted. So let's do a site walk. We don't have 16 trees coming down. We don't have grading. We don't have full foundation excavation. We have none of that. We have a simple deck being added on to an existing cottage on piers. I thought this would be well received. It was well received this morning when the planning board walked it. So I think the Conservation Commission should come out and take a look at what's going on. Absolutely.
So let's schedule it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I just, I honestly, I'm a little taken aback by it, but we should go out and take a walk about it and make sure we're all on the same.
Good size, solid people.
How's Thursday look for you, Rob? We're checking it too.
Thursday's good if we can do the morning, I think.
I can't.
Actually, no, can we do, I've got a 9:30 site meeting, so I can do first thing at 8, or I can do, later in the morning.
I'm not an 8 o'clock guy, so.
Can you do the afternoon?
I absolutely can, yeah. You an afternoon guy, John?
Afternoon,
3:30.
3:30.
3:30?
Let me just check one last time. Sorry, I just have to keep going back here. Yeah, that'll work. Because we're in front of the Board of Selectmen for the same project for Thursday night. So 3:30 on site with Goodell on Thursday. That works.
See you there.
Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Anything else?
think there's some.
We have to sign 10 Pine Street, demolition and rebuild. What's going on with the barn, the historic barn? It got torn down.
On Pine Street?
No,
Oh, over on Prospect Hill.
Prospect Hill.
It's not really a
Where's
barn.
that?
it's
A barn of
Gazebo.
Pavilion that was
Yeah.
just a
Oh,
little,
yeah. It was-
Daniel French gazebo.
Daniel Chester French designed it. And it got torn
It's
down.
nice. I was looking at.
It was a little garden shelter and it was a little bit odd, frankly. I
Yeah,
mean, it was out of place, but whoever put it there put it there for a reason, I don't know why.
that was,
The people, you know, that are building the monument to money.
I don't know what they
they're
did
just-
with it. I don't know how
Whatever they wanna do.
just knock it down.
it's in the garbage.
Yeah.
No, it's not our thing to deal with anyhow.
No, that, just.
Historic pres.
Meetings.
That's, isn't that the other group,
What?
preservation people?
Yeah, that's historic preservation. Do that.
But it's the same issue that we deal with all the time.
I'm pretty
Do
sure.
it and then ask for, or hope you don't get caught.
This one.
Geez, we cut down all those trees, now what?
Oops,
If there's
whoops a
a
daisy.
cells,
Just your pen.
do those.
Thank you.
Have to-
That's right.
I haven't found where to sign on this yet.
I don't know if they're.
I bet nobody here or there knows.
There he is.
They're going back.
I thought he'd go
They always
walkabout.
go back to.
Still,
From the mother.
Oh, here's one.
I have a question.
ask away, John.
If an order of conditions is issued on a piece of property,
Oh, this isn't to sign.
does that order of conditions go over and apply to the deed of the buyer of that house?
In the soul.
Yes.
You already asked that.
When it's sold, is it just
Yes.
going over?
Yes.
Even though it's an order of conditions, it's not necessarily in the deed.
Oh, it's on the deed.
It's
Well,
on the,
Yeah, if it's recorded, I mean, one of the conditions of every order of conditions that it has to be recorded at the registry of deeds, so it should be on the deed. Automatically, unless they didn't record it, in which case that's a violation of the permit.
who's this?
That's why, I mean, I think the commission,
I think
does the
this is
commission
Garage.
collect the recording information,
Yes,
comes back in?
yep. Goes in the file with the,
So John, there's an actual page of the order of conditions that's supposed to be stamped by the registry when the applicant or the permittee brings that order of conditions to the registry that ends up going back to the commission.
Okay,
Prove that it was recorded.
I have seen the form. I have not.
That's why we-
I have not known the paper trail of that form.
that's why you have to print your name on the old forms. So that, because the registry of deeds won't record it unless they have that.
No. It doesn't really answer the question, but
Well, I'm not
I
sure.
mean, it's the order of conditions we're talking about, not necessarily. The order of conditions gets registered with the deed people, right? So it does. I mean, unless they don't read the
They
deed.
don't want to do that. They're not going to do it.
They have
New
to.
plan.
It's one of the reasons why we routinely send the order of conditions to the engineer, because the engineer gets it recorded.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I kind of,
Whereas the homeowners tend to lose it.
oh, too bad about that. That's the guy who stamps the bottom of the plan.
Yes.
My previous statement was appropriate.
Thank you.
All right. We have request for determination of applicability for Shallon, 3 Averick Road.
Those are ones we have to sign. Those are
That's what we
ones
just
We
signed.
just
Yeah.
signed.
We signed the pay run.
Yep.
Upcoming, other business, performance standards. Have we gotten those back?
I did read what you sent. It looked perfectly fine to me.
Great. Yeah, I sent it, was it a week or so? I can't remember. It was a week or so ago.
All right, I gotta go review that then.
So what's the next step?
Well, I think town council needs to take another look, obviously.
Yeah,
I went, I took some latitude with the compensatory mitigation items like we talked about, trying to figure out a way to disincentivize work within the 50-foot buffer zone, but providing flexibility there for existing structures that needed to be fixed or renovated with a fee schedule and a mitigation scheme. So that's the kind of thing town council should definitely take a look at.
Okay, so this project that we have right now, the 15 Lakeview Drive, what was permitted was a dry laying patio. And the reason that it was permitted as a patio rather than a deck was because of the town bylaw that says that if you have a deck, it is thereby grandfathered or whatever to become a permanent part of the footprint of the house. So we have traditionally said no, unless we get a deed restriction. We've gotten a few deed restrictions over the years saying that they can't convert it to permanent living space. But in this case, we apparently convinced them that they should make it a dry laying patio. But these folks that have bought the house now want to make it a deck. So to my way of thinking is that, I don't see that as being appropriate for an amended order because it's a totally different thing.
Well, I guess it depends on what the design of the patio was. If I recall our previous conversation about this, the commission's contention, I think, or belief or position was that a patio is better than a deck that could by right be converted to a structure with a roof, because that is all of a sudden going to become a new impervious surface, whereas the patio is not. Was that the gist of it?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's some merit to that position. I think it's possible that you could condition or potentially work with the engineer to design a deck that has interstitial space that actually allows infiltration that either matches or improves upon the infiltration that you get from a patio. And if you did something like that in conjunction with a deed restriction that didn't allow it to be converted to a permanent structure with a roof, the impacts to wetlands would be roughly the same. That's just offhand generic guidance based on what I understand right now.
So what we've been doing is all right.
It's the simpler route.
But I find it curious that Rob didn't pick up on the dry laying patio versus the deck.
Well, maybe he did.
That's a slight.
Well, I mean, his impression might be that there's no difference, especially if the footprint is smaller. That may be his thinking. Like, okay, if the commission allowed this footprint to be disturbed permanently, if I do the same thing, or if I even pull it back a little bit, what's the big deal? But again, I haven't reviewed the pre and post plan site, or pre and now revised proposed plans, so it's hard for me to say for sure.
back to performance standards. So is it ready to go to town council, and who
Well,
brings
I
it?
think the commission should take a look at it. So what I did is I provided a marked up copy with track changes that tries to show everything that we've
Yeah,
done since July. And then I provided another version that I called clean, and that's one that you should be able to read through pretty easily.
yeah.
And town council can just to kind of give it a reality check without being interrupted by all that red ink. If the commission wants to have another meeting just with me to go over those final changes, I'm willing to do that, but if you want to go right to town council, I think you could do that too. It's up to you.
If it goes to town council, if it's screwy, she's going to send it back.
Yeah, let's just get it moved. Let's move it along.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's send it to town council. I will review it. Everybody get a chance to try to review it. And if we have any issues when it comes back, then we do any more changes.
Okay. You will get it to town council?
Sally, can you get it to?
Yeah, Dave, can you send me that again, just to make sure that I have the right one?
Sure.
Thanks.
It came so far from where it started as a 2-page document. So it has really come far, and I was really happy.
Can we
with
get
it.
this bound?
Yes, we should. We should. So I
At least
really,
loose leaf folder type thing?
Gold leaf.
yes. I appreciate all the work that went into it.
Lisa deserves a round of applause.
Well,
Absolutely.
Dave does. Good
Well,
luck.
let's see if we can get over the finish line. I mean, that's, the legal team needs to
Get
take a
this-
look at it, but
The final
hopefully,
stamp of approval.
hopefully it's the kind of thing that gives the commission flexibility to get improvements upon existing conditions and allows applicants to get what they want to. I mean, that would be the best of both worlds. That's the goal.
Yes.
Right. You want to talk about the Forest Commission?
I didn't update the date, sorry. The next meeting is February 6th, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay. And Tom Ingersoll wants to come to that and talk about.
And they're going to post the meeting as a joint meeting, so we won't have any issues with, yeah. So it's
Okay.
February 6th.
What do they do with it?
Sally, did you say that's our next meeting?
No.
No, that's the meeting for the
Agriculture.
forestry and agriculture, which was really interesting, actually. And last but not least, 82 Interlaken.
We have a sheet of notes that David sent us. Did anyone see that
I
tonight?
did see it.
Good.
I didn't see it.
I saw.
Does everybody have a copy of this?
Yeah, I got it in my email.
I saw it.
I didn't.
You
don't have it
So
either?
that was from the site visit that you guys did?
Yesterday.
So.
The comment was made that it's a really messy construction site.
Is that a technical term?
Pretty close, yeah.
So I did have a couple questions.
Okay.
One, and I read it a while ago, the original NOI. And Tom Ingersoll's review of what the work was going to be done, the work being done on the trees, he said stumps would remain in. Did you see stumps?
I didn't see
in?
any stumps.
I did see some, but I didn't do a count of stumps. I was actually expecting that more of the trees that are there were still going to be cut.
Yeah.
But the claim on site was that, no, we've cut everything we need to. So that was actually a pleasant surprise to me.
Okay.
There
So,
was some discussion about the rain gardens.
Right. Well, actually, I have a whole list of questions from the NOI, and I can't really verify them without a site visit. And I'm not really sure why the site visit yesterday was exclusive of the rest of the committee.
Well, it wasn't published for one thing.
Well, I know, and I'm not really sure why that didn't happen or why we didn't get notified by email that it was happening. I put a lot of work into this. I actually instigated this, and yet I was left out of the site visit, the critical site visit, where the decisions are being made. And frankly, I didn't appreciate it.
Nothing's final.
Well, I would like to have another site visit
That can
where
happen.
the other people on the commission get to go. I think this is a watershed moment for enforcement and for the bowl. because this is going to be a precedent. And if you want the bowl to look like Lower Goose Pond and Lee, then you can let this go. But I think that we have to establish a precedent as well. And we've been talking a lot about enforcement. And when there is, I've had at least half a dozen people refer to this as the scar on the bowl. This seems to be rapidly becoming the local name for this project. And when you can see damage to the environment from 3 miles away on the other side of the lake, this calls for some kind of serious enforcement. And I think there should be consequences. So often we say, well, do this, do that, do this, and you're good, and they walk away. I don't see any consequences for the people next to the Mackinac Boat Club. There were no consequences there. Nomke dug up over 10,000 square feet to put their pipe down. Any consequences? Not a one. And now we have this, which is a huge violation. I mean, I'm just reading through the NOI and having been there once, I know there's a lot of violations there. I have a lot of questions about that site. And
I would suggest that we could certainly set another site visit, but I would suggest that you submit your concerns to David, who was there.
well, I would like to be there.
How about you submit it to all of us?
Yeah, I like to do my own work, to tell you the truth.
I'm sorry?
I like to do my own work.
Right.
I don't need to submit them to David. If
But
I have a
David-
question, I'll look.
David has just recently seen the project.
I know, I've seen it, but I didn't really have a lot of time up there. But I did ask to go to this most recent one, and I wasn't welcome. So I would like to go to one. I'd like to set it up.
Sally, can you forward this to us then?
I just want to ask, did everybody receive the notes that I put together this morning? Because I sent them to the entire commission.
I did,
And
I mean, I saw them at 6
I
o'clock.
didn't get them.
I saw them quickly.
Okay, I
and,
sent it to that General Conservation Commission address as well as to Sally and Ron and the
Yeah.
applicant and the applicant's engineer. So if it
I
didn't
did.
get to you,
Sometimes they
Tom,
get
I wasn't
attached.
trying to.
I didn't get it.
So I had,
Sometimes Outlook attaches them to another mail.
so
and that takes
it
me a
came,
while.
okay, it did come to the commissioner. But
Yeah,
I did
I
have
just
a
want to make sure,
question.
I was certainly not trying to exclude anybody with
Sure.
those notes.
So
No, I was talking about the site visit, not the notes.
I'm happy to see it again because when I
I'd
saw
like to be
it,
there.
I hadn't read the NOI. I'd like to see it again after having read the NOI. But the glaring thing that what I thought was glaring, that I didn't see in your write-up, was the NOI talked about blasting to the west of where the house is going to be, uphill.
Yeah.
And there was blasting there, but they did not talk about blasting to the north. And when I went out there was quite a lot of blasting to the north that was not in the NOI. So that was a glaring question for me. Why did that happen?
I can only speak to what the site plan that the commission approved shows. And
Yeah.
I didn't see construction work beyond the footprint of what's shown on the plans.
So the north side is in the plan? Because I didn't see it in the plan.
That's what the plan.
It was like decimated
I
to the
didn't
north
see it
of the
in plan.
house.
It's within the footprint of work to construct a house. And I didn't see any, I didn't see any discrepancies with respect to what the
Yeah.
plans allowed for that construction footprint.
For the construction or the area to the north?
I didn't see work beyond the approved limits of work, Lisa.
Okay,
Meaning all the trees that were supposed to remain within the buffer zone to Stockbridge Bowl are
Yeah.
still there and then some, as I understand.
Oh, I don't have a scanner. Here, you take it.
okay, so I need to see it again.
I got a film. I'll copy it in the other room. Here, I'll do it right now. No, that's all right. I'll do it.
And what about the elevation in front of
This
us?
discussion, I don't miss anything.
Get this too.
Right.
Instead of being a drop off, it's supposed to be
Yeah,
tied in to the elevation that's there now. That will, it's
Tom, do you want to see a copy of
it's
this?
basically
I mean, I just feel like David's
a work area.
review of it
You gotta
is so
get cement mixer down there.
recent that
No,
if you have
I
questions.
respect
That's all
his
gonna
review,
be-
but I mean, I've
But if
been,
you had
Re-rate
questions
it.
or other observations, maybe he can help you with that.
yeah, well, you said you sent that, I'll have to
Yeah,
check my email. Okay, well, can you pass me that? Thanks. But, I mean, I would like to do an extended site visit there, though, several hours at least. So, is there anybody interested in doing a site
Me.
visit there?
Yeah, I'm happy to go out again. I can't do 7 hours.
Yeah, no, well, you could bring a lunch. Want to go too? Yeah.
Pick a day.
All right, what's a good day?
Well, Thursday kind of looks shot because by the time we get done with
Yeah,
3:30,
Thursday.
it's going to be,
Monday? Tuesday?
Monday sounds.
And who do we want there?
I don't know, I'm
You,
fine.
Brett, probably.
Well,
Do we want Brent or Greg?
why don't we save the questions for Brent after we, what do you think?
Either way, I'm happy
You
if
know.
he's there. Or
we need to do-
We'd have to certainly notify them.
Yes, no, we should notify him, definitely. And also too, I think we should somehow, and I don't know if David would agree with this, but I think we should somehow document that site with photos. It's enough of a mess so that I think we need a photographic record of what's there. Also too, I don't know if you saw my email asking Brett for that video of the existing conditions that Tom Ingersoll, I think, if that's his name, shot. It'd be really good if we could get a copy of that because that's going to show us what it looked like before they went to work up there.
Oh, I can remember what it looked like.
Yeah, but I'd like to have a record.
And do we have pictures of before when we went? And
I'll bet the Realtor does.
Well, that would be really good.
I don't know who the Realtor was, but I bet the Realtor does.
Who's got a camera? I wish some of the alternates strike me as people who would have had a camera.
I have a camera, but it's just like, no, the reason I say that is generally speaking, when a Realtor goes and lists a piece of property, they take a picture of the house. That case, the house is disintegrating in front of the camera's lens, but that's it. Then they take a picture of the lake because the lake is right there. It's so beautiful. And then they take a picture that way and they take a picture that way and behind the house. Behind the house is where the cliff is. Behind the house is where the blasting has occurred to get a driveway down there. So I'm sure they have it. The question is who sold it? And that's got to be part of town record.
Okay, what day do we want to visit?
so we said Monday, if that's possible.
Monday? And what's better, morning, afternoon? Anytime.
The one thing that I don't remember on this was that they were actually going to build the second access road.
I don't remember that either.
I don't remember that.
And what about the guest house?
And I thought one of those
It's not
houses,
there anymore. I mean,
It was
it's not a
supposed to
part of the final
stay.
plan, I don't think.
Well, that's on the NOI I got from Brent.
It's like,
Oh, there
do
was
you remember the second driveway? Do you remember it? I mean, the access driveway, I don't have any recollection of them saying we're going to blast the hell out of that cliff and make a road.
I don't know.
My
I might not have been
The whole
here.
thing was that the septic field was going to be up there. They had to cut through the trees to get the line up to the septic field
I remember that.
and pump up to there. The road was still under discussion because of the neighbor's property and then it,
That's right. Remember that too? But I don't remember them ever giving us anything about, let's put some dynamite in the ground and make a driveway out of this cliff. I don't recall anything like that, but I might not have been here.
But I do remember they wanted it at any cost, that they were fighting tooth and nail to get what they wanted. And I remember they were fighting with that neighbor for the driveway. And they fought us every step of the way.
Actually, I remember that.
It was awful.
Well, I remember the saltwater pool, which was originally proposed, was shot down and moved. So I don't feel like I ever saw the final plan.
Do you have an order of conditions? A copy of the order of conditions? That might be helpful.
That would be,
Conditions references the plan.
well, you don't have a plan?
Conditions generally doesn't always say much on its own.
Right.
It references the plan that was presented, and that the
Sure.
plan that was presented was what was approved.
We need to add the word final plan.
So
Well, you-
if the commission wants, I think I hear some really good questions, and I think I have some answers to some of those questions based on what I've seen. So Lisa, when you say the area to the north,
Yes.
are you talking about the area up on the hill, or are you talking about
No,
the area north of the house?
Yeah, north of the house. Uphill is what I saw in the NOI, that they were going to blast up there.
Okay.
I did not see blasting to the north. And when I was out there, it looked like there was blasting to the north.
I don't think so. I think
That was
where
just clearing.
the footprint of work is supposed to end on the
Yep.
northern side of the site closest to Stockbridge Bowl, that looks like to me where it's ended. They've got the silt fence where it's supposed to be down in the woods. They
Okay,
haven't
so
even built the
maybe
basin that was approved down there. They haven't even done anything
Well,
down there.
no, to Stockbridge Bowl is east. I'm talking
Right.
north. I'm
Right.
talking
I
north.
know the difference between north, south, east, and west.
Yeah, I'm talking north, not to the bowl.
Right.
But the north side is where the junk pile is.
Yeah, and then there's probably 100 feet of woods between the junk pile and the property line. And that's where the silt fence was, down in the woods.
Start our video.
That looks to me like exactly where it's shown in the plans.
Do this here. Yeah.
These are the Cohens.
Who are the Cohens?
They're the people who
The,
own this.
Can we
But-
say
but-
something?
Let me say it.
sure.
Yeah, can I just say something? The data that you're using is just, one, we're to the north. There's nobody else to the north except us.
Yeah.
The lake is to the east.
Right.
So we're to the north. The driveway, the second driveway was never approved as far as I know, and I've been following it. And I think the pool is definitely going in.
Yeah.
Whether it's salt water or not, I don't know, but that's definitely gone in. I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I would bet that, and he's taken down an infinite number of trees. You just have to visit the site to look at trees, major healthy trees that were not down maybe in the zone of 100 feet or whatever the rules are. But on the rest of the property, it looks like a bomb hit it. They did blasting. Instead of ending in May, it ended in November. And all of this is about the pool. So I would urge all of you to take a site visit and spend several hours there, because while the owners may not have broken any laws, they definitely broke the spirit of what was approved.
Can I say something?
And my wife wants to add.
Just a clarification on the road. Since that property always shared a driveway with Earl Kramer, who's on the south side of the property, it was our understanding that Earl did not want that driveway to be used as a construction road. And so the Brouses were given permission to put in a construction road that would be temporary.
And you
And
should
we
see
were,
that.
as far as we were told, there was no agreement. I mean, I'm sure the Brouses would like a separate driveway. I don't blame them, but that was never in the plan and has not been approved yet, and that there are wetlands issues to having a driveway. So that's not approved yet.
The saltwater pool was moved out of our jurisdiction. Just as an
That may be right. I'm
Yeah.
not arguing that, but there's definitely a
We-
pool. And a lot of the blasting and a lot of there's a rock pile there that's probably over 100 feet high. And I'm not exaggerating.
We were just there yesterday, Bruce, so we've seen it.
Okay,
So you saw it.
you saw it.
Yeah. It's horrific.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's the
And
best word so far.
I don't know if there's a runoff issue, but I doubt I certainly don't think they've broken any laws, but you might want to reconsider what some of the regulations are about how much land can be cleared, given that everything's running off into the lake. Just a thought.
I have one question for you, and that is, you're in a butter to this piece of property.
Yeah, entirely. We're the
only abutter.
We're the sole abutter on the north side.
And did you get like certified letter from any board or from any individual saying that they're gonna do this blasting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were
knew
told about the blasting. We knew about the blasting, and they were, my sense is they were relatively careful and put measuring
Considerate,
devices
yeah.
and considerate. But it went for about 4 more months than was expected.
Yeah, they were surprised. We told them, actually, at one of your meetings, that we had to blast to put in our own driveway. So we said, you better plan on a lot more blasting than you're planning on. And it turned out to be, it was worse than they even thought.
We became friendly with the
Well, we
blasters.
talked to, yeah.
At least some spare dynamite
Yeah.
around.
I might need his name sometime.
Okay, David,
Anyway,
Thank you.
hey, thanks a lot, guys, for looking into it.
please continue.
No, we're good.
I'm not sure where it was.
We were trying to set a site visit for Monday last I heard.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you to this. Yeah,
You were,
10 o'clock.
Well, I've done my review. The commission's got my report.
Thank you.
yep, we'll look at it.
So that's kind of why I would like to, because you did review the site and you were on site. I wish that Tom would share what his concerns are, so you can either say, well, I didn't see that, it wasn't there, or maybe we should review it again.
Tom, could you send that to us or do that after your site visit?
After my site visit, I'll write up every concern I have and I'll send it to everyone, David and the commission.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that Jamie and John and Lisa will point out some things I've missed, and I'll try to incorporate those as well.
Well, I'll tell you,
Monday.
what I saw, and I've been there now 3 times, and where there was no silt fence that was there yesterday when we went, was not there the last time we went.
Oh, really?
However, the silt fence that was there yesterday was really a stellar silt fence in exactly where it was supposed to be. That's just an observation. There was no indication of any runoff getting into the lake
Or even reaching that silt fence.
or even reaching the silt fence. The scar on the landscape is inescapable. I mean, you have this huge blasted
Limestone.
mess
Trees?
on the side of the
Gone, gone.
the hill there. And I asked Brent, because it's horrifying, and that's what everybody sees, is this big gash in
Oh,
the side of.
Shadowbrook.
And I think the loss of trees.
And I said,
contributes
so
as well.
what will you see when the house is built? And that will be masked by the house. Now, you remember that when they first proposed this, the house was significantly larger. It included a much bigger guest house. It had the saltwater pool included in the lake part footprint. But the saltwater pool got moved because it wasn't approved for whatever reason. I don't know what it was, but it was moved. So it's up out of our jurisdiction now. And there are boulders that are up against some of the trees that are meant to be kept. They have sworn, that they will put up something to protect the trees as they remove the rocks that are there. There are huge, enormous piles of stone that they have crushed from the boulders. I mean, the boulders are
As big as this table almost, some of them.
And they're all over the place. So if you look at this site, it's enough to give you a heart attack. And it just, I couldn't even look at it. But
Take a video.
it's in the middle of the construction phase, which is going to look its absolute worst.
So what
So
about,
what has varied from the plan is not necessarily, I mean, the look of it is the thing that's the most jarring and horrifying.
and I wasn't part of the original, I wasn't here when you approved it, but I mean, what struck me overall was the loss of habitat. It's tremendous loss of habitat, which is something we're supposed to be protecting, and it's gone.
Did you see it before they started?
No, I wasn't part
All
of
right.
the original.
A brief description would be dead ash trees, down trees, honeysuckle, invasives. It looks like it had been mowed at some point and then abandoned again. So that the trees that were mowed around pretty much were dead because they were all ash or some pines. There's a few things there, but most of it's down. And I can't speak for if there were live trees there that came down with it or not. But you can't, there may be stumps there, you can't tell if they were alive or dead. But the honeysuckles.
It's laying down?
Pardon?
Because it's laying down?
No, the stumps may be there. There's there were some burn piles, half burn piles. There's some logs there, pine logs. I'm not even sure where they came
I mean,
from.
but it may not have been pretty, but a lot of that is habitat. Dead trees are habitat, down trees are habitat. I mean,
We
it
had
is.
some discussions about what was there and what was gonna go back in there.
Just for our Monday visit, how muddy was it this time? Because when we were there.
Frozen, it was frozen.
Totally frozen.
Because when we were there before, it was a thaw. It must have taken me 20 minutes to get the mud off my boots after I got,
No, it was totally frozen, so it was, the footing was pretty good.
yeah.
The erosion that was gonna go down, that could possibly go down the frozen driveway to the front, that had been addressed with some swales that would
So
shunt the
they
water.
cleaned things up from when we went before.
Yeah, and that was really recent because the soil wasn't even frozen there.
But in the NOI, it says that anytime construction is going to cease for, I think, more than 7 or 21 days, one of the two, that they would seed any exposed soil. I didn't see any of that there.
You can't see,
It's seasonal.
Well, I know.
But the summer.
Well, not now, but I mean, they could have done it in the fall. They were blasting all summer. And they knew winter was coming.
if they had seeded, they would have just driven over it.
Yeah, they just buried it.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying what it says in their NOI, that anytime they stop, they will seed piles of soil or whatever, fill that are.
If they put straw on it or something, it would have.
Right. And then there's the new lawn that they're making in front of us.
That's construction site. It's all gonna be regraded.
Yeah, are you sure of that?
That's what they told us yesterday.
Yeah.
Ron, I got a question. That description that you presented before, the before existing conditions, if you will, was that for the whole site or is it just the resource area down by the lake?
That was on the west side of the construction.
Up on the plateau, the cul-de-sac, they brought in the road that came off there.
That was done before this. There's drainage, that's years past.
Yep.
We're just dealing with the recent stuff that started from the cul-de-sac.
From the
down.
cul-de-sac down, okay.
I don't know, those drainage pits or whatever you want to call them, I don't know where they go. I don't know what they do, and it looks like they don't do anything, to be truthful with you, but they might store water, but I don't know if they go anywhere with it.
Wonder if they gave any thought to the dynamite and the gas line? It's not that far away.
No.
Does anyone know what the weather on
Can we pick a
Monday's
time
gonna be?
for Monday?
Good point.
You know what the weather on Monday's gonna be?
Or
Huh?
can we pick a time for Monday?
Yeah, I was just gonna check that, make sure the weather is not gonna be terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. They were probably 500 feet away.
20 to 42,
And what
partly
about-
cloudy, partly sunny.
Okay, as long as we're not getting precipitation,
That's Tuesday.
39 degrees on Monday,
but no precipitation.
1% chance of rain.
I can live with that.
You can do that. Take a chance there.
So I'm thinking 10 o'clock, would that work?
10 o'clock.
Okay, and the,
I can't be there at 10 o'clock.
can
Do you
you,
want to be there? We can go later.
My fourth time there now.
It's up to you.
Go a little later, I'll show up.
Okay,
I don't
what
care.
time?
I'm fine.
What
What
time?
time?
11?
You can cut it
11?
11?
on my email or my.
Good time.
So
It'll be warmer.
before Kampusa Bob, Dave, I had one more question for you, if I could. On your review of the Stockbridge,
To be there.
No.
your review of the Stockbridge Bowl report. One of your questions was the same question I had about the increased phosphorus around in the forested areas. I didn't understand that. I mean, it's usually, like you said, I think it's number 8 in your comments, usually you think of forested areas as being more protected, but the report indicated that they were not.
Yeah, maybe you and I were confused in the same way, because the way I interpreted what the report said is it suggested that a significant source of the phosphorus loading, which is correlated to being part of the problem, is due to the fact that most of the contributing watershed is forested and undisturbed.
Right.
And I was thinking, well, that's going to be at odds
Yeah.
with implementing a solution if that solution involves doing something with the undisturbed forested part of the watershed.
Right.
the,
Okay. So
yeah, and
we
one
had the
of,
same question.
in one of the studies that was done on kind of it's a manual for dealing with lakes. There's several charts on phosphorus loading and the sources of it that are completely at odds with what is in that report. So I'd be happy to dig them up and send them to you if you'd like. Or I can send you the name of the publication. It's a Massachusetts, environmental study. And it compares like various lakes and such throughout Massachusetts, and the bowl is in there, so. But yeah, it's very different from, it comes from trees. So,
Okay.
Does the commission mind if I just chime in for 2 more minutes about the 82 interlaken? Because I think there's something that I noticed that I'm not sure is everyone's caught. So there's a gap in the commission's jurisdiction at that site, a big, huge gap between roughly where the new septic system has been placed up on the plateau and the, I will say effectively the 100-foot buffer zone, because the order of conditions, as I read it, doesn't have any additional restrictions on the project beyond the 100-foot buffer zone that I could glean at least. So there's a huge chunk of real estate between basically the 100-foot buffer zone from Stockbridge Bowl and roughly where that the western side of that septic system is, where the commission has no jurisdiction at all. And in fact, that is an area where significant work has been done to connect those 2 driveways and where a lot of the blasting has been done. And certainly it does make a very stunning visual impression on you when you go to the site. But I think a lot of the work that is probably attracted some attention is not within the commission's
It's
jurisdiction.
outside our jurisdiction.
now you said the 100-foot buffer zone from Stockbridge Bowl, but don't we have 200 feet?
Well, you've got the
Under-
discretion to do something with the 200 feet, but I didn't see anything in the order of conditions that had any special provisions for work within that area.
See. Now,
And a lot of that work, Tom, actually is beyond 200 feet from the bowl too. So
Right,
just
but-
keep that in mind when you go to the site.
for the area beyond, right? I was reading about something called after the fact jurisdiction. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Sure, certainly.
Do you think there's parts of that site that would qualify for that, especially, for instance, the elimination of wildlife habitat or increased erosion into the bowl? Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So that we call it the unless or until provision, which means if there's an activity happening beyond the commission's jurisdiction that affects a resource that the commission has jurisdiction over, then the commission can take action, such as enforcement. And that's why we specifically looked at all the resource areas and the erosion controls to make sure they were functioning properly and stuff was not stuff from outside your jurisdiction was not coming into jurisdiction and causing problems.
Right.
And it was filed under the stormwater bylaw as well.
Oh, yeah, I know they did stormwater, but I wondered if that after the fact jurisdiction might come into play at that site.
It absolutely could. If they were doing work in uplands well beyond the commission's jurisdiction and that was causing erosions to the stream that's on site or wetlands in the bowl, absolutely the commission could take jurisdiction over it.
So
One other thing to note that I just thought of, and this is a question I had before I got on site, is they show a footprint on one of the site plans of a construction phase sediment basin that runs roughly parallel to the rain garden that was approved by the commission. It's a really, really big feature. And we asked why that hadn't been installed. And the answer was, we didn't install it because it was going to do more damage. And based on the way that the site's been configured, it doesn't seem that it would serve any purpose. And based on what I saw yesterday, I agreed with that contention. So that feature, even though the commission permitted it, hasn't been installed, and there hasn't seemed to be a reason to install it yet. And I think it's probably preserved a lot of natural vegetation by not putting that feature in. So,
And just so you know, that the silt fence was functioning remarkably well. There was nothing, absolutely nothing getting into the lake. So they did take care of that. The rest of it is just a horror show to look at.
In the NOI, they do say that they would keep logs, weekly logs of the condition of the silt fences and such. I didn't know if maybe we could see those, if they've kept them. They're supposed to have.
But there's no sign of erosion getting anywhere near them. Even if they were of less quality than the ones that are there now, there would be some sort of sign of some sort of erosion getting near, because they're in the same spot. They didn't move them closer, move them back. There would be some sort of sediment that would have shown up somewhere near the erosion control.
Their logs would go back throughout the construction phase, which at some point it might have been different. So they said they keep these logs, so.
There was a little bit on the road in that they were going to correct. It wasn't an issue yet, but it could have been if they had to plow that road. And they said they're not going to plow the road during the winter, so.
All right.
Can I chime in here? It's against my will or against my better judgment, I became part of this group that was reviewing the zoning bylaws in town.
Oh, I remember that.
And so, I've been recently revisiting all of that. And one of the things that keeps standing out to me, especially because of the spaceship at the north end of Stockbridge Bowl, is one of the things the planning board has some domain over is changing the character of a neighborhood. Now, if the character of a neighborhood has been changed, up behind what we call 82 Interlake, and as boy, have changed that nobody else has seen since they built Cropalo.
We had, I don't know if you remember the Hirschberg property. I mean, that property was originally Hirschberg. He divided it up into 3 different properties. We had Terry Euchre come and look at it. We ended up denying the project because we felt that the soils on that particular property were such a fine particulate that whatever they were proposing, particularly the roads, were going to end up eroding into the lake. And there was some study a few years ago that they did of siltation in the lake that would indicate that in fact that was the case, that there was silt coming down off that particular piece of property, which had soils that were nothing like anything else around the lake. And we were overridden by DEP on our denial, and they were permitted to do what they proposed to do. And they were crossing several streams, as I recall. But we were overridden. And I complained bitterly to Karen Hirschberg every single time that the Hirschbergs that owned the property and Karen Hirschberg at DEP were two entirely different people. But I complained bitterly every year when it came up for renewal and said, you know, this never should have been permitted, but they didn't do anything with it except build the circle at the top.
Right.
And then eventually, somehow or other, they decided that maybe it wasn't such a great plan and they did not renew it. So this project that we're seeing now is a totally different project, but to my way of thinking had the same issues that the original one had, which is partly why I was alarmed when I saw the construction driveway. Because that driveway is doing exactly what I feared that it would do. Just saying.
Well, they did say in the NOI that they would stabilize it, but I didn't really see any evidence of any special efforts to stabilize it, so.
The driveway?
Yeah, they said they would stabilize it. That was like one of the first things in the
So it doesn't go in the pool.
construction narrative. So,
Hard to tell, it's so frozen right now.
yeah, well, before it was so muddy, so. Yeah, anyway. All right, well, should be fun times on Monday.
What else we have? We had one more,
One more thing.
Kapusa Bog.
Just from the Compusa Bog Commission. There,
Can I make a statement?
yeah,
I have to, for many, many reasons, resign my position on the Campusa Bog Stewardship Committee, most of which is time.
yeah, sure. So let Laura, I'm not the chair, let
Okay,
her know.
I'll let her know.
But I'm sorry to hear that.
By email.
You have so
No,
much
I-
history.
I look at that thing 3 or 4 times a day, so don't worry about it. I mean, I will be a steward of it. I'm just not going to sit on a committee.
Come to the meetings when you can.
Okay.
So just 2 quick things from there, and I'm really sorry to hear that. I was looking forward to you being there. 2 quick things. The management plan from the previous stewardship commission, they came up with a management plan, I think in 1999. And they did a really beautiful job designating certain agencies to complete tasks. And then I think shortly after that, the commission dissolved.
Well,
So-
Judy Spencer died, that's what
Right,
happened.
and that's what happened. So for people that have a history on this commission,
Thank you.
which are many of you, look this over for the next meeting. I would just like a sense, like I tried to highlight things that were designated for the Concom to follow up on. And it's not a pass or fail, but I'd like some sense of what actually was followed up on, if you know. But take a look at it and we can talk about it at the next.
I have pictures of walking out on it.
Do you?
Yeah, very cool,
Yeah, I bet.
very cool. I also went out on it with,
Cross-country skis.
no, well, yeah, we did that too, but I went out on it when it was, when it was summer with Les Luchanik. Do you know Les Luchanik?
No.
Yeah, all right, so he was, I don't know, I've forgotten what he was. He had some position with the state. And Judy Spencer and I've forgotten who else. But if you step off the mat, there's 60 feet of water down below you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Great.
really?
It's a little
Great.
alarming. And it's like walking on a waterbed.
Oh, that's cool.
But I went out one summer with my cousin who might well have been the most unrecognized, but foremost expert on dragonflies, butterflies, and moths in the state. And we went out in a canoe. We'd gotten permission to go out and looked at all these amazing
Wow.
dragonflies for the most part, which she identified, I don't know how many different species. And she said, oh my goodness, that's a whatever, whatever, whatever. And I think I came back out of that of having recognized one again. But
There's a blue one, right?
no, it has a dot on its tail. That much I remember. But it's an amazing experience if you can ever,
We do want to do that.
you have to be careful what you step on, and where you step. And it's a trek to get in there.
I bet.
But it's an amazing phenomenon.
Okay.
So wait,
look at
one
these.
more, just quick thing from the bog. Rich Broadway from the Land Trust they're purchasing landscape software. I think it'll be aerial photography. They're purchasing it for $2,500 a year for a user license, and they wanted to know if the Conservation Commission is interested in going in on a second license would be $600 a year, if we have any interest in
For
that.
how many years? I mean, the technology's going to change again.
$600 per year it would be for us.
So
And what does it do?
It's mostly aerial photography, so it's
But you have to have a drone?
that's how they do it.
Yeah, they do it. So I don't,
You can identify the species of trees in different areas and that type of thing.
right, if you wanted to do, say, the bowl or, some large.
It would seem that maybe the town ought to look at that because we've got so many different things that might be useful.
Whoa. It just complicates the matter. Let's just stay with the Concom here for a second.
Yeah, but you've got the
State's
Forest
got that.
Commission.
I think he's proposing it to
And the
different
Stockbridge
commissions.
Bowl, being able to identify what the canopy, that Jess was talking about with the canopy of the trees that are out there and identifying what happens as the trees begin to deteriorate.
He's offering it to more of the company.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of which, put a budget together for the Concom for this year.
So what does it's good mean?
We'll go in with the 600. I don't know if I need to include it in the budget.
So I'll have him be in touch with you?
How different is it from the state GIS? They have aerials constantly updated.
Yeah,
But
The state one, free,
state does, out of UMass.
the
totally
areas,
free.
aren't the areas taken from satellite?
No, they fly them.
Oh, okay.
Well, he sent a video that I have not seen that explains it. Do you want me to send it to you?
Generally, they fly 'em.
No? Do
That's
you want me
not
to
gonna
send it
happen.
to anyone on the commission?
What's that?
Rich sent a video that explains what this is.
Send it and I'll see if I can,
If you send it to me, I'll take a look at it. too.
Okay.
I know that Mark Stinson uses Mass GIS extensively in his research. I've never had as much success as he seems to have with figuring out what's there.
You develop an eye for it.
Yeah.
I've done it. You develop an eye. You can pick out a lot.
this would be a computer program that we could access through the Concom website or?
I'm going to defer to him. I'll put him in touch with you.
Okay. Any other business? Make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.